Jared Polin, FroKnowsPhoto.com, and this is another rapid fire critique. And I sort of left, I don't know how I left TweetDeck on. TweetDeck is now off. So for the rapid fire critiques, I've been asking for some, let's say, photo essays, photo stories, and one of them came in from a Swedish person, Jonas Nurgren. I think I did it sort of right. Somebody will correct me because my Swedish isn't too good. The only Swedish I know is and that's my Muppets Swedish from the Muppets. And there's a new movie coming out for the Muppets. But he sent in this. He said he was inspired by some of the behind-the-scenes stuff that I did with Sinai and Matis Yahoo, that he got access to photograph a band for the whole day. So there's more than 10 pictures here, so I'm going to try to rapid fire as quick as possible through as many of them as I can, and taking the whole story into perspective when I'm doing my critiquing and judgment. So let's just start right here. We've got a photo early, I would assume early morning, or knowing that it's a band, probably early afternoon when the band is waking up. I like this. I love the shots that you get in a hotel room, or when you're with a band in a small room, or in their house, or in their apartment. You're getting access to a place that other people don't get. And I'll be talking about this Thursday the 22nd, where there will be a free bonus video, by the way, about behind the scenes, well, about concert photography. But you know, for this critique, I like this image. I like the light coming in off through the window. I would like to see a little more of the person themselves, probably a little wider shot, so I get a feel for what's going on in this apartment or this room. I love seeing things in the background, seeing things on the desks. I see the laptop, you know, I see papers. I would like a little bit more light shown on, shining on, shown in on that stuff. So maybe a wider shot. This is where the 14 to 24 shines, or on a non-full frame camera where a 11 to 16 Tokina shines. So I like this image to start it off. I love images of people getting ready just because it tells a great story. Using the door frame here as a natural frame to draw you into the image really works well. So that's cool. That is a small bathroom is all I got to say. But so I like that. The color is nice. Well, not that it's nice. That's what the color probably was based on the light that was there. So as a story, we're off to a great start. This is what I'm talking about. This is the same place as the very first photo. But I like this. This is a wide shot from, looks like they're standing up on something, probably stairs, and this shows the scene. It gives you a feel for what's going on in the room, and I don't know if that is a Hohner, what do they call those, harmonica, key monica, I don't know what they call it, but it looks like it could be a bong, I don't really know, but you know, I love this shot. I love wide shots. I love how the angle is right on. He's like in the corner, so it's not straight. There's really no straight lines running straight across. I just said straight 14 times, but I love this. I love this moment being captured, and this is a great part of the photo story. Driving to where you're going is another great part of the photo story. In the future, would love to recommend, you know, the 2.8 lenses would blow out the background here so that it doesn't become a distraction and isolates the subject as much as possible. Black and white could go well here, but you would lose the pink of the steering wheel. And then this building wouldn't stand on its own. Well, obviously it's barely standing on its own as it is, but I mean standing on its own out of this context. I don't know the context that it plays in the actual photo story. If it meant something to the band, then I could see it fitting, but maybe this is one shot that you just take out in the future because it doesn't really show or explain why you're with the band or what's going on with the band. So guys, keep that in mind out there, that sometimes a photo just doesn't fit in the story, unless this was the place they were playing. But as of, you know, now I don't see that this photo fits into the story. So now it looks like we're at some kind of rehearsal. In terms of exposure, we're under. We need to pump this up. We need to pump up the exposure, possibly add some fill light and some contrast to bring out the guitar player here. And don't forget, black and white makes it easier to bump your to bump your exposure higher when you're processing in Lightroom your raw files, because you can get that dirtier, grainier look. So that will work well. Yeah, Let me get rid of that. That will work well when you are trying to bring a photo back. Same thing here. I like that it's a rehearsal, and I like the posters on the wall. This may be a better place for a black and white to pump it up. The angle's good. Maybe move it down a little bit, even though you're looking like you're trying to get the flowers or whatever's on the ceiling. We need a little bit more oomph in light here. So if the limitation is the lens, you got to bump the ISO, and then you have to cheat the system when you're processing your RAW files. But as a part of the photo story, we're doing well. We've seen the beginning. We've seen some travel. We're now seeing rehearsals. This is better with the light coming in. I'm going to think that they're not in manual exposure based on... It just feels like it's too dark, and manual would be better for manual exposure. I could see going into manual, shooting at the widest aperture, probably sticking to wider shots, because if you're with an 18-55 and you're at 3.5 and it goes to 5.6, you're going to want to shoot wider to let as much light in. So you're going to want to try to stay where the lens is at 3.5 only. But I like switching off into manual so that I can get more light, let more light into the camera to get a feeling, to expose the subjects more better, just to expose the subjects better. So that's where getting into manual works. You'll find it better when you can just basically set your own settings. I like shots showing other aspects during a day. So shooting the soundboard, shooting the guitars, shooting the road cases. In this case, shooting a snare drum and the wound up cables. This is very good. These are great shots to tell a story of a day. This shot definitely can go. It doesn't really, it would work if it was exposed better. So, how can we expose this better now after the fact? Well, this is going to be a black and white shot. You can just tell that there's no color there. Black and white exposure is going to go up at least 2 stops. You're going to pump your contrast, maybe fill light followed by black levels, turn this into an extremely high contrast photo, and I think it's possible. If you're watching, I'd like to try this. I'd like you to try this, and then maybe send me the file, and I'll show everybody that it is possible to bring this back. Great, here we go. Now we're walking out into a gig. This again is showing you where, say, even a 35 1.8 shooting wider open is going to blow the background out and separate you from the subjects, or separate the subjects from the background. So this is it's a good shot. I think the angle needs to come down slightly, so there's too much headroom. But I think this is at the point where I like shooting with, say, a 70 to 200, or even a 70 to 300 if you have it. Because further out at that 300 or 200 range, depending on your aperture, you're going to blow out the background. You're going to compress it much better, even with those 5.6 lenses. So you don't always need to have the 2.8. You can still do it. I like the moment that's captured here. I like that they're not looking at the photographer. But think about going black and white with this, because it will cut back on the distraction of the background. I like this shot. This looks like they're in a vehicle. I could be wrong, but I just like it in the story of the day. They are in a vehicle, so I like this too. The black and white is nice. We got to work on exposure a little more. I really think that there's either an auto or aperture priority. This is a place where you get a setting and then switch into manual and then lock it in, and it's going to allow you to get a better exposure each time. I hope there's a wide shot coming up, like if there's a person sitting here and the people sitting here, if they were across the car doing a nice wide angle, that would be even better. But nope, there isn't one here. I hope you did keep that in mind, guys. You can do the tight shots, but tight shots are always tight shots. You don't even if you're at the Eiffel Tower and you do a headshot and you never see the Eiffel Tower, does it really matter that you were there? You could have been shot in my basement, and I'm thousands of miles away from Paris. So keep that in mind, that run through all of your lenses. Run through the wide shot. Run through the tight shot. Don't do the thing that I know Dom Bauer loves to do, which is shoot wide and crop later. Shoot wide, come in tighter, come in tighter. Remember those 3 things. Shoot really tight. Shoot medium length, medium, and then shoot ultra wide. But fill the frame when you shoot ultra wide, because it's going to give you a great representation of the scene. So I like this shot. Now we're walking. It looks like we're walking into a venue. Again, aperture lower. We're going to blow out that background in the future. Now we move into the live show. So we can see the lights are going to be a little bit more difficult. But if you're shooting in manual, you're going to save yourself from these lights becoming the focus and the exposure. Because I'm pretty sure this isn't in manual again, but you can cheat the system, switch into manual. Not really cheat the system, but you can go into manual, shoot it exposed for the people and not for the lights. In terms of a frame, not much you can do here about cutting off the feet because the monitors are in the way. So it's a good capture. We just need a better exposure or better processing. This is really good. I like that they're walking into the light and they're disappearing. It's very cliche, but it works really well. Just be careful with focus. Make sure that you're actually focused on these guys because it doesn't look like they're uber-duper sharp right now, and I would love to see it. I know it's contrasty, but bump that up even higher. Same thing here. I'd like to see more contrast. People just hanging out, go wider. Want to see wider. Just so you can get a feel for the scene. Remember that when people are looking at your photos, they want to know where it's at, and they want to feel like they can belong there. So in this case, I don't know where it's at. I mean, I would assume that it's Sweden, but, you know, I want to see a little bit wider here. This is nice of the guys just hanging out. A little yellow. Gold, but that looks like it's shot at the very end of the day with the sun coming straight in, which isn't a problem at all. I'm not upset with that. I love golden hour. That's why we call it golden hour, because the light is nice and gold at the very end of the day. Nice composition here. 3 guys in the band. Looks good. Like what you're doing here with this, with the halo in the back, or the light. The guy basically using his body to block the light. I talk about that all the time. I don't mind that you can't see his face in this one. Pre-show shots are always difficult. Keep in mind that if you do have a fisheye or an ultra-wide angle lens, you could always lay down on the floor with a flash, pop it straight up as they're all looking down. It's a cliche image, but you know what? You'll get it, and it's going to, you know, be something that other people don't have. Same things with the live shots. We need a little bit better exposure next time. Looks like they did it better here. They tried to bring it back further into in the editing process, and it looks like a pretty small stage to shoot from. I like this. This is great. You've got the triangle going with these 3 players here. Nicely done. It's a better exposure, a better edit this time around. I would probably go black and white here again just to get a little more light into the face. It's interesting having the lead singer, if this is the lead singer playing bass. I guess Sting does that too. Same thing. Want to see more exposure. Bump it up, but I like the frame. I like the angle. Like that you went vertical. Filled the frame as much as possible. You could go a little tighter, but as you start to go tighter, you could have cut off the guitars, so that's a good job there. So what I like, you know, I talk a lot about exposure here, but keep in mind that the eye is more important. Getting the eye right, you know, getting the image, capturing that image, the moment is more important up front than getting the exposure right. The exposure is going to come over time. You're going to get better. Training your eye and seeing that you're getting images like this is a good step forward. Same thing. I'm going to start. Yeah, this is much better. Better contrast. Maybe a little bit more exposure into the face is going to make this better, but this is better contrast, better frame, better angle. This is a nice shot. A little difficult here with this light. Same thing here. It's a little difficult with all that backlight, and obviously no front light. And then this is the last image. Drummers are always the most difficult unless you're up on the stage. When you're up on the stage, you see this symbol here and this symbol here. You can get down on a lower angle and shoot between it as the drummer is playing, and that uses a natural frame to draw you into the drummer. These shots are very, you know, this type of shot is, it's not that it's boring and it's not the photographer's fault. It's just that it is what it is. When you're standing in front of the stage, there's not much else you can do to get a photo of the drummer. So try to get on stage and try to use those natural frames to get those images. So all in all, we're on a great path to get, this is a very good photo story to start. You're on the right path. Take some of these tips. Everybody listen to these tips. You know, tell that whole story from the beginning of the day to the end of the day. You know, a nice shot here would be everybody after the fact hanging out, maybe drinking at the bar, or maybe in the tour bus, not tour bus, or the van, however they're getting home, sleeping, resting, tough day. You got to finish it off. You know, you got to finish it off with that goodbye shot. I personally like to keep my photo stories in order from the first picture to the last picture because I like telling the story of the day in order. But there's an image in this set that you could use as a final image, and that's the one of them walking away into the light. That could be a closing image when you are putting your images in order. So, you know, remember this, guys. Think of those 3 things. This is why I don't crop. I don't just shoot wide and then crop later. I'll do a tight shot, then I'll pull back a little bit, and then I'll shoot ultra wide. I'll run through multiple lenses in the same situation so that I give myself a great representation of the scene and the story that was at hand. So the best photos that I liked in this in this set, the second photo, which is, or one of the, it's probably the third photo. I did like the second photo, the guy in the bathroom getting ready. That's great. But I like the wide shot of the guy on the sofa playing whatever that harmonica piano thingy is, and do more of that. When you're telling the story of the day, the scene is important when you're shooting wide. Because like I said, if you shoot tight and everything's tight, then it doesn't matter where you're at. There's no unique aspect to the photo. It just becomes just the person in it, and sometimes the person in it isn't strong enough to carry the image. But the scene sometimes is strong enough, along with the subject, to tell even a more deep story. So a deeper story can be told. Remember, when you're shooting wide, to get close and shoot wide so your subject doesn't look this big. But when you're shooting wide, you can still show a lot of the scene. So that's the take home from this video, is, you know, get those wide shots when you're telling the photo story, but also move in closer, get those tighter shots, but, you know, telling the story with multiple angles and multiple focal lengths. Even with an 18-55, you can do it. You can get close, you can shoot medium, you can shoot wide. Good job, you can do it. And if you'd like to send in photo stories or critiques for me to critique, send them to fronosphoto@gmail.com, and hopefully I will get to yours, and hopefully this helps a lot of people. Please leave some feedback in the Facebook comments on the webpage. I'd love to hear what you guys think. And that's about it. Nice job here. You're on the right path. Keep going. Keep getting access to bands. This is a great thing to do. And they don't even need to be bands, everybody. They could be politicians. They could be chefs. They could be teachers. They could be factory workers. If you can spend the day telling the story of somebody, then get access and do it. That's the way to do it. And the way you get access is you ask for it. Jared Polin, fronosphoto.com. See ya.